day one. What a day it was. Adam Collins, Geoff Lemon with you. Maurice Blackburn Lawyers, you'll hear about them later. Likewise, CBUS Super celebrating their 40th birthday. But first and foremost, Geoff Lemon, try and sum up that in 30 seconds. Go.
Pink ball, Mitchell Starc's played 13 of them. Wicket with his first ball of the match. Did it for the third time in his career. India got on top for a bit through Gill and KL Rahul, and then Starc picks up a couple more. Boland and Cummins come through after Australia made a hash of some things, and they end up coming back through the end of the innings. Starc takes 6 for India out for 180. And then Australia, well, they would have been in trouble a couple of times. Khawaja out, McSweeney dropped, survives, gets through to stumps with Labuschagne, 86 for 1.
Yeah, they have done really, really well. 86 for 1, which means this pair have put on 62 from 133. They batted for more than a couple of hours together. They trail by 95. All out 180. Starc's best career figures, 6 for 48. His fifth 6 for in Test cricket.
His first figures?
Fifer against India. He'd never even taken 5 wickets in a match against India, and he made it 6 in an innings today. He was the standard bearer, Starc. In fact, yeah, well, let's just finish off on all the numbers here. So, Boland picked up a couple, a wicket before lunch, Shubman Gill leg before, a wicket after lunch, Rohit Sharma leg before. Pat Cummins got a snorter to burst up Rishabh Pant at the perfect time for Australia too to get rid of him for 21. Nitish Reddy again, flamboyant flourish, getting himself to 42 and top scoring for the second time in the first innings in his first 2 tests at age 21. He's very special. We'll refer to him later as well. Then Bumrah gets Khawaja, which was probably going to be the final ball of his spell. We'll probably come back to that later as well, I'd expect. But let's start with Mitchell Starc. You went there in your summary. Australia needed someone today with everything that was riding on today. It was about the senior players, whether they were getting the opportunity to bat first in these muggy, steamy conditions, or whether they were going to be invited to bowl first if Rohit Sharma won the toss. One of the senior players needed to stamp their authority on the match and the series. And Mitchell Starc has now taken 367 Test wickets. I think we're up to now. The 23rd most ever, or something like that. It was the left armour. It was the bloke that takes the new ball. As you say, the third time in Test cricket that he's taken a wicket with the first ball. It proved defining in that Ashes Test match at Brisbane 3 years ago, and it may well prove defining in this Test match here. Early to make that call, of course, but someone had to get them going, and it was Starc from the get-go.
It wasn't defining in Gaul in 2016 when it was Dimuth Karunaratne. Frankie Roons, who had a miserable series against Starc. We love Frankie. He clipped onto mid-wicket. I remember it. Joe Burns taking the catch, diving across one way or the other. Starc took 9 in the match and they lost it. But we're talking about the game today. And I've been looking a lot at Mitchell Starc stuff the last few days. I've been doing a lot of number dives because it's been interesting that the thing that I've talked about on the show on an episode, a few episodes ago, about the Starc, Cummins, Hazelwood Lyon axis, the fact they played 9 tests at home against India, only won 2 of them. India seemed comfortable against them, even though Cummins and Hazelwood have very flattering figures in those games. Starc and Lyon don't. Lyon's been averaging about 39 in those matches, Starc 38 in those games. In the games Australia hasn't won, the 5 losses and 2 draws, he's averaged 47 in those games. And he had Jayaswal chipping him at Perth, saying you're not quick enough. There was a sense, there was a possibility of vulnerability there, right? You're an older fast bowler, it's an unusual thing to be, and when you're someone who relies on pace and swing. But then he comes back to the pink ball format, and this is something we flagged, which was that if there was ever something set up for Australia to come back from the battering in Perth, it's a pink ball game, especially in Adelaide. He's played 7 of them in Adelaide, he's played 4 in Brisbane, 1 in Perth, 1 in Hobart. This is his 13th. Australia have played 13, Starc's played 13. He's played every single pink ball game they've ever played. So has Lyon. But Lyon's taken 43 wickets, and Starc now has 72 wickets in pink ball matches at 17.
I was going to say at 17. I mean, the numbers are glaring, and this will probably come across the wrong way, but I'll give it a crack. I think he's underappreciated somehow. He shouldn't be, of course. I think at some deeper level, and it goes to when you've got a group of quicks who are all playing in the same era. I suppose you can make the same assessment of some of the West Indies quicks when they're at the peak of their powers. When you've got a phalanx of them, you're dividing your attention, maybe not equitably, but between multiple quicks. And because Cummins takes his wickets at 22, Hazelwood, when fit, has been, the metronomic McGrath-style bowler, who again in the last 12 months has been Australia's best bowler statistically. And Nathan Lyon, who completes the quartet, has taken 530 or whatever it is Test wickets. So, and yes, Starc has an average which is nearer to 30 than it is to 20. So for all of that, it sounds ridiculous where the guy's got that many wickets over that stretch of time with that much white ball success to combine it as well. Could be underappreciated, but at some level maybe he is.
He's always seen as loose. There's that. He's always seen as the bowler who's erratic, the bowler you can score from, and he is sometimes. He does get whacked around a bit. There was a bit of that with Brett Lee as well, who also took 300 plus Test wickets for Australia and was pretty good. But there were times when he went for heaps because it wasn't conducive to that sort of bowling. There were times when that really fast bowling did bowl teams out cheaply, and there were other players who could handle it. So there's that sort of judgmental sense. There's almost a moral frowning upon of Starc for being profligate, as though he decides to bowl them down the leg side and decides to get whacked through backward point. Because Shubman Gill was scoring aggressively off him, and it was a relatively high risk game. He was driving on the up, he was cutting through the cordon. 4 or 5 different balls went through the gap in gully between McSweeney and third slip. But it seemed deliberate from Gill to say, well, no, I'm going to step this up. I'll do what I did last time I played Australia. I'll take Starc on and I'll try to score quickly off him just to upset them, to throw out their rhythm. And then KL Rahul gets into the act as well. And so even after that first innings wicket, an hour and a half into that session, I thought it was India well on top. They're well past 50. They make it to 69. And Australia have that horrible over when Boland bowls his first over on the comeback, gets caught behind first ball, which may or may not have been nicked, but it was given, and KL Rahul was walking. So, and then they found out that he's overstepped. So that one's chalked off. And then he has the catch dropped by Khawaja not going far enough across to his right. Khawaja's had a couple of questionable ones that slipped, the one in Perth where I just wonder if he's as agile as you need to be at a first slip, because they're tough catches, but ones that are more agile catcher might be able to get themselves in a better position for.
It struck me as one of those that often goes down at first slip when you're diving behind second slip and the ball's still swinging. So I think he got to it. No issue with him getting to it. It wasn't an athletic thing. He got to the contest. It's just that the ball went further away than
he's falling into that catch instead of pushing
but you are when it's
towards
behind second slip. I guess my point is that it wasn't about him getting there. It was about the technical thing, and I reckon they're ones you often see. Of course he should take it, and he would say the same if he was standing here right now, but the mitigation is that the ball was still moving. Anyway, be that as it may, you're right. It would have been 2 for 19. Instead, it's 1 for 69 at the point where Rahul eventually is dismissed when he's caught. Great catch, I thought, from McSweeney. Effort ball from Starc. Had to kind of move forward and to his right and get his fingers underneath the ball, all in, a split second, half a second, or whatever it is when you're fielding in the cordon. So McSweeney has taken a couple of important catches already in that position for Australia, which will bolster his stocks, as will the innings he's played tonight, which we'll come to probably in the second half of the program. But yeah, it just felt like that McSweeney catch was clearly the turning point. Starc's extra effort there to get the extra bounce off the surface. The pitch was exciting. It was a riveting first session. 4 for 82 from just 23 overs. Yes, over rates later, Hall of Fame, it's coming. But it was so watchable. And then they go bang, bang just before lunch with Virat Kohli giving catching practice to second slip, also off Starc, to give him the first 3 wickets for the first time in his career.
But also in the backlift. It was strange. So KL Rahul had the bat in the backlift and then just kind of flirted at the width of the ball as it went by him. And then Kohli's got the bat in the backlift and just almost runs it off the face into the corner.
It was like you're doing the sticks at catching practice when you get one right off the face of the bat to second slip, but
the face of the bat's pointing to the ground at that point. It was Starc's bounce catching them out, and then the Boland LBW was just so bloody out.
And
it
so
was
clever.
Low and angled in.
First ball of the over. The fullest ball he bowled in the spell was the first ball of that over to get Gill. He wasn't anticipating it, went across his stumps. Lucky for him, he didn't review. It was hitting middle stump halfway up. Rohit Sharma also beaten by a ball. It was just a snifter full, not as full as the one to Gill, but again, came back off the seam, which is what Boland made an art form of in his first iteration as a Test cricketer against England back in 21-22 or whatever it worked out to be. When he first rocked up, it was the subtle movement off the seam that set him apart and made him such a handful because the stumps were always in play, and that accounts for the 2 wickets. Yes, he did get taken to by Nitish Reddy later. Yes, he bowled 1 too many overs. Yes, he overstepped too many times. No, he wasn't perfect, but Boland with a pink ball in conditions like this is going to be someone who is difficult to match up against regardless, because he remains near enough to the peak of his powers.
And someone who produces 2 wicket-taking balls in their first 6 deliveries, having not played at home in 2 years, that's a pretty good bowler. That's a pretty good effort. Yeah, so the Cummins ball to Rishabh Pant was nasty.
Brutal.
Kind of the shortest one he bowled all day, basically.
I mean, how the fuck are you keeping that down?
Yeah.
I mean, that is just,
it was up,
a fair bit of conversation around Cummins' pace.
Almost.
I think I asked him about it yesterday, about his pace, and he kind of went, I'm okay with it, whatever, because there was some analysis that he bowled slower in Perth than he had for however many years or something like that. That weren't slow. This pitch is fucking good. We heard a lot from Damien Huff, the curator, before the test, saying the 4-day game, 3 strips over, was like the perfect pitch for pink ball cricket a fortnight ago. That's what we want. We don't want pitches that are... we want pitches that are hard and that are giving you genuine bounce, and the data bears that out at Adelaide too. It bounces more than you kind of think it will. And look, that was an element to tonight's and today's action, which was consistent the whole way through. When India were bowling as well, it was the balls that were being left on length that were just clearing off stump that made every ball so watchable.
and maybe it was a slight problem for Australia. That first session, Pat Cummins on the quick fizz stuff didn't bowl one ball that would have hit the stumps. Did not bowl one delivery that would have hit the stumps. Australia bowled 6 in the first session.
It can be deceptive.
3 for Starc, 3 for Boland, and 2 of those were LBW dismissals.
But that can be deceptive because of the very fact that fast bowlers who are 6'6" do clear the stumps with their stop delivery. It's not like club cricket where...
and you've got to set up the full ball and all of that.
Like
so
in club cricket, your opening bowler hits the stumps because they're not through here. Whereas at this level
it's still not many. So by the end of the second session, I think Australia had taken something like 4 wickets for 25 runs from balls that would have hit the stumps. And they upped their dose of those in the second innings, including the one that Ashwin got.
I was going to come to that. Let's
not talk about the review because I want to talk about that.
Well, a quick 22 from Ashwin, which kind of felt important with where it came in the innings, but the issue was that he was out leg before to Starc, and 2 balls later, Rana lost his pegs that was splayed everywhere by Starc. That's his 5th wicket in the sequence. Bumrah hangs around for a partnership of 35 without scoring, but that's exactly what he needs to do to give Reddy enough support to play the milk the strike game. Bloody hell.
Nitish Can we call him Helen Reddy? Helen Reddy.
He's a fucking player.
Every Indian innings on this tour ends with him bashing 40. And hitting sixes.
He's hit. What a great stat it was today. Who's hit more sixes at Adelaide Oval, Nitish Reddy or Ricky Ponting? It's Nitish Reddy. That's no reflection on Ricky. It gives you. It's more an indication that this guy has that shot. That Glenn Maxwell shot. The reverse ramp premeditated, but it's better than that. I'm not even doing it justice.
It was the Joe Root one to Boland, basically. I reckon he just watched Joe Root do it to Boland and was like, "This is how you do it."
In my mind's eye, I'm seeing Maxi do that to all sorts of players, but you know what I mean. It's something that you need to be so capable of doing, and it's the long boundary at Adelaide as well, and it clears the ropes. It was stunning stuff.
And the one over long off Starc, that was a beautiful clean strike.
Yeah, the inside-out nature of that too. It was such exciting. Titillating cricket.
So he was what was he? He hit 3 sixes today. I reckon 1 in the first innings at Perth, maybe 2 in the second. He was 42 not in the second innings at Perth. He made 40 something in the first.
I think he was 41 not in the first innings and 38 in the second. Whatever it was.
I think he got out in the first innings. Maybe he was last man out when he was swinging.
His career strike rate's gone down today, having made 42 from 54 because he had to milk the strike. He was playing the game, and at the end of the day, he's the last man out because he's got to keep swinging. He gets the strike back, and that'll happen. That's the way it goes. But 180, it felt a little bit to me like, well, okay, it's past the credibility marker when you're 4 for not many and when Starc's on 1, thinking to ourselves, well, now they've got to face a shitload of overs from Jasprit Bumrah, who's in their heads clearly, under lights when we know it's going to be the toughest time to bat. Now, it wasn't quite the dark when they started, about, 20 past 6 local time. I think that second innings of the match started. And they get through 5.5 overs of it. Yes, McSweeney's dropped a slip. That was actually Punt, who shouldn't have gone, and it was Punt's glove that got in the way of Rowett. So I actually don't blame Rowett for missing that. That's a very, very difficult chance in Yanks.
There's no way he can get it. There's about 2 metres to make up the deflection, which he can't do.
Yeah, and also he couldn't have seen the ball because it was behind the glove of Punt for so long. But nevertheless, Bumrah gets 1 edge in that whole spell. Yeah, he's all over them. But, I spoke to Khawaja before play today in the interview for radio, and he's like, you've got to remember that Bumrah is just another cricketer as well. You can't turn him into Superman. We all know what he's capable of. That's not a lack of respect, that comment. What he was trying to do is just sort of reframe the conversation a little bit.
You just read through players' careers. You go and read every bowling innings of Imran Khan or Wasim Akram or, whatever these great destructive bowlers, and you'll find innings where they took none for 60 and where they took 1 for 80 because that happened.
It's totally normal that great bowlers have, and you've got to try and find a way, as Khawaja said, of getting through a full spell of Bumrah and get to the other guys, right? And bless him, Khawaja did almost everything right until the final ball of Bumrah's spell.
Which was
he gutsed it out. Great ball, Khawaja, probably both feet in the air when contact was made with the edge. As soon as the edge that he was walking, he knew it went straight to Rohit Sharma, and instead of getting through the spell, it means that he gets the extra over, gets to crack at Labuschagne, and that opened up another another brilliant little mini chapter where they were up at each other and Bumrah was running all the way down to Labuschagne. Labuschagne not snapping back at him, but like saying, I think he said at one point, come on, bring it on, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, two guys going at each other with a smile on their face.
He
It was
looked
top
nervous
stuff.
too, Labuschagne. That first over especially, his feet were stuttering. He was hopping around.
Sure.
He was yabbying around the place.
But I thought it reminded me of when Geoff hit him in the grill.
Yeah.
It reminded me when he got hit in the grill, second ball at Lords back in 2019, when he was called up as the concussion sub, hit the deck, bounced up, and kind of body movement was straight at Archer. Had a similar vibe to the way where I think he had did he have the bat beaten or whatever it was, and he kind of tried to like give the impression that I'm going to try and show some of my own physical presence at the crease. And it took him a while. How long to get off the mark? 20 balls, something like that. And that included the time when the lights switched off, one of two times when the lights went off here at Adelaide Oval, which again we'll come back to later in the Hall of Fame. I'm certain of that. But, credit to Labuschagne. He didn't do something at that point when he wasn't scoring, which was reckless. Yeah. He just waited until the moment was right. Nitish Reddy came on and he watched him and didn't do the thing you can do in a situation that he's in at the moment when you're out of form of chasing the wide one or trying to make something happen. Yeah. He was happy to play it largely on his terms, and that's the reason he goes to bed tonight. Yep. I'm sure a very satisfied 20 not out.
So still there, McSweeney's still there, important as well on his home pitch to get through it, and how lucky he was that the catch went down, because it was another beaut from Bumrah, and one of the not much you can do about it brigade. So he's had the opportunity. He can come back in daylight tomorrow. It'll probably be sunny tomorrow. It'll probably be hot.
He's faced 97 balls, McSweeney. Yeah. I mean, there weren't Australian players, top order players, facing 97 balls last week. No. That is the more relevant number than the 38 runs he's made. Those back-to-back boundaries, the square drive and the pull shot.
Yep.
Towards the end of play.
Played a few good pull shots too, to not very short balls. He was picking them up. Yep.
Took ages to get going, but when he did, he's clearly a sensible guy, clearly a guy they rate above the shoulders as well as what he does in the game. He's actually faced a lot of India this summer, played the two Australia A games. So, he knows what Nitish Reddy is all about. He knows what Harshit Rana is all about.
Yeah.
So, he's into his work after getting his pad blown off twice last week by Bumrah. He's gotten through, 11 overs of Bumrah tonight. Yep. He's into the test career that he wants so badly.
And I'll make one note for the series going forward. Just keep an eye on Rishabh Pant's keeping, because his feet aren't moving a lot of the time. He's come back with his batting. We've seen him be able to get his timing there with the batting, but those balls from Bumrah swinging down the leg side, he's not diving at those balls. He's falling towards those balls, and the catch that got dropped as well. He didn't push off his outside leg to push himself towards that ball. He fell over. He'd let the leg collapse under him and tried to fall towards it, and then he was having to reach really wide. So, I mean, I'm not a technical wicket-keeping expert. Other people are, but just from my perspective, it looks like I don't think he's moving well as a wicket keeper. He's moving pretty well at the crease when he's batting, but there's something to have an eye kept on as to what extent his injuries might be limiting him when he's behind the stumps.
A watching brief on punt from Geoff Lemon. All right, time for a break. On the other side of it, we've got a very busy Hall of Fame. This is the final word. Border, Gavaskar, Daly, Adam Collins, and Geoff Lemon with you. Hey.
Yes.
Hey.
Yeah.
Kabaddi.
Kabaddi party.
The 28th of December.
28th of December.
7 o'clock at John Cain Arena, which is the one right across the road from the MCG.
You could hit a six into, probably, Travis Head could hit a six from the MCG into John Cain Arena.
And if he were to do so, he would see a host of former AFL players playing in what's being described as the Pro Kabaddi League Melbourne Raid. We'll learn more about this. We'll educate you as we're educated ourselves.
The footy players are going to... So the high-contact Indian sport of kabaddi is going to be played by Australian rules footballers.
Let me tell you about it. So we've got Michael Hibbert, Liam Shields. What a player. I wrote an article about Liam Shields after the 2014 Grand Final, three-time premiership hero. Billy Gowers, son of Andy Gowers, the Hawthorn president. Brett Deledio, who we've commentated on playing cricket before. Richmond champion, GWS as well. Dan Hanbury, premiership player. Josh Kennedy, premiership player. Mark Murphy, Dyson Heppel, Trent McKenzie, and they're being coached by Campbell Brown. That is the team. They're training. They're training a couple of times a week. They're taking it very seriously. Okay. It's going to be a huge deal. Of course, a test match at the MCG.
Who are they playing?
More information as it comes to hand. Right. The key thing is it's going to be a celebration of kabaddi, which is the second biggest sport in India. Whenever we're in India covering cricket, it's on the telly all the time. The TV rights have been it's been broadcast domestically in India, so you can watch this at home if you're in India watching this now and watch Australian rules footballers play your sport, kabaddi.
let's play kabaddi in here. Let's play kabaddi. We're going to have a Bacardi party at the kabaddi party.
And we're going to go. I'm going to try and bring my kids. Right, that's happening on the 28th of December. Get a ticket, keep a watching brief on that. Hall of Fame, it's the most final word moment of the day, Geoff Lemon.
A few of them. There were a lot of them today. So we did our live show in Adelaide with Aaron Finch last night. Today when I was wandering through the press area and I wandered past him, just as that evening session was starting up, he leaned in and went, bloody good time to not be an Australian cricketer. He's like, who would want to be out there as Bumrah's coming in the dusk and making it do everything? I thought that was good.
Where do we start? Why don't we start with JL? It's not even about him, really. It's about Starc using... So JL at T doing a cross, like you and I are doing right now, right? But the thing is, there's nobody standing next to him. There's a hologram standing next to him being beamed in from India in the coverage.
Is it Tupac?
It's like Al from Quantum Leap.
Okay.
Only Sam Beckett can see the hologram, and in this tortured analogy,
is it Tupac? Is it Freddie Mercury? Is it ABBA? Who of the known holograms that I can do? Is it the guy from Red Dwarf?
I like the idea of Tupac having a dialogue with Justin Langer.
Yeah.
We'll keep an eye on that. The lights going off. Pat Hargraves, getting mentioned all the time on the show at the moment, wrote that great piece about Guyana. He said he attributed it to the woke power grid here in South Australia, all the renewables here in South Australia. I'm sure that'll be part of the narrative, but no, it's more likely to be that someone, flicked the switch, right? They're brand new lights here, they're energy efficient and all the rest of it.
Someone probably turned a hairdryer on at the same time as they were boiling the kettle.
Yes.
And the whole place went under.
Yes, which is exactly what, to bring it back to Quantum Leap again, exactly what happened in an early episode of that TV show back in the first season in 1989.
I really enjoyed, like you said, the last ball of Bumrah's spell, what probably would have been, and then he takes the wicket, and I was just imagining, Rowett turning to him and saying, what do you reckon, Jazz? You got one more in you? He'd be like, I've got 7 more. Like, I will bowl forever.
We love Ash. We are Ravi Chandran Ashwin people.
Sure.
I mean, we're really Ash people on this show. Always have been, always will be. That review was so funny when he was intimating he's a sliding down leg.
I've got to have some lead-up context to this, which is Jaiswal, LBW, walked.
Yes.
Gill, LBW, walked. Rohit Sharma, LBW, walked. They were reviewing beautifully India today in terms of not reviewing, the ones that were definitely stone dead out. And then Ashwin is maybe the most stone dead out of them all. Starc, the swing, hits him on the ankle. The replay is showing it hitting the base of middle stump. And you're like, I guess you have to. There's some internal team rule, which is we've only got this many wickets left, so you have to do it. But there still should be an exception for when you definitely know what it's going to be.
I think when you do one of those ones when it's the team rule, you should intimate to the whole world, no, I'm just...
you should be walking off.
I'm on the edge of the boundary.
Like Steve Smith at Lord's.
Yeah.
When he does the T-sign and keeps walking.
Yeah, so, loved him for doing it. Loved the body language. Ashwin bowled 1 over tonight. Cannot wait to watch the great man bowl tomorrow. That is our final word, Hall of Fame.
My last one.
Oh, sorry.
I just admit also, Starc, after the Jaiswal, you're not that quick anymore, are you, mate? Whatever the line was in Perth. And Starc blowing his foot off first ball. Got him out for a duck in Perth too. Not that helped Australia very much by the end of the test match, so don't crow too soon. But I just like the idea of, imagine if Jaiswal comes into a presser, and someone asked him about that dismissal, and he goes like, I wasn't expecting the slower ball first up or something about the one that came in at 140.
Or there was that CricViz analysis. I think Crash wrote it up with that Jaiswal's average goes up the quicker you bowl at him. So there is something in that. It's not just him chatting.
Yeah.
He can play Jaiswal, although it's quite a bit quirky. He's gone 161 in this series so far. So what does that mean for the second innings?
Yeah, he's channeling Marcus North.
Oh, by the way, with the lights... there could have been a workplace incident tonight.
If the ball's halfway down when the lights go off.
Where you should contact if you've got a workplace concern?
Maurice
Blackburn Lawyers. Workplace concerns. If you need to get legal assistance in a situation like that, Maurice Blackburn Lawyers, great friends and supporters of the podcast. They're going to be with us every single day, not only of this series, but when we're in Sri Lanka, when we're doing our weekly shows, our weekend shows, our book club shows. Partridge in a pear tree stuff.
So much stuff. If you want to get the ad-free feed, the feed without the ad breaks, go to patreon.com/thefinalword and join our supporters group.
And cbussuper.com.au, as I mentioned off the top, celebrating their 40th birthday. Get your super sorted out. Last thing I want to say, a lot of people asked me yesterday, it's kind of Hall of Fame adjacent, why I'm wearing these sunglasses and why you were wearing these sunglasses as well. They're Maxis. Friend of the show, Glenn Maxwell. He's got these sunnies going at the moment. They're t20vision.com/finalword. final word.
Yep.
These are the flares. There's the all-rounder. There's the 2 zeros, which are kind of your more casual style. If you go to t20vision.com/final word, you get a discount because you're friends with us. You can get yourself 10% off.
You can get the
they're
shades
amazing.
like
they
the
are
ones he's wearing.
absolutely brilliant. I've received and given many pairs of sunglasses for Christmas.
Sure.
Why not do it? It's in the show notes. Have a look and see if you want to get some sunnies for Christmas. That's us done.
Yep.
Very, very busy show. Absolutely brilliant day of Test cricket here at Adelaide Oval. Cannot wait to do it all tomorrow afternoon. Adam Collins, Geoff Lemon, good night.
Later.